So this is the beginning of Technically Working 113. I think it's 113. Now I've got to go look. Anyways, Michael here, and I just wanted to thank you guys for tuning in. You can always find the show on Mastodon. The bot is TW at technically.social. Demasi is Demasi, DAMASHE at technically.social. And I am Payon, PAYOWN at dragonscave.space. This is TW113, and what I'm going to do today is we're going to play in some clips that we gave to Technically Working tip jar subscribers. These, to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe have been published to the main feed, and I'm going to start out here with a backing up / migrating your WordPress site bonus episode. Looks like, according to Pinecast, it was published 9 months ago on August 17th, 2024, to tip jar subscribers only. Anyways, WordPress. If I had a WordPress website that was on the wrong domain, but I wanted to keep all of the content and layout, here's the process I would take to convert that site and make it live. So let's say we have two domain names, domain1.org and domain1.info. And we currently have all of our information on domain1.info, but we want that to be available on domain1.org. Well, I would first of all log into the admin dashboard at domain1.info. Domain1.info /wp-admin will get you there, and you can then go to plugins, add new plugin, add the UpdraftPlus plugin and activate it. Once that's activated, you can go to the Updraft settings, and I would create a backup. Typically what I do is I actually connect it to Dropbox, which then puts the backup in Dropbox /apps/UpdraftPlus, and then you find today's date with the site name on it as well. So go to the settings of UpdraftPlus, connect it to Dropbox. You can set up automatic backups, but really do that later because you don't need to worry about configuring that right now. Once it's connected to Dropbox, then run a backup. There's a button that says backup now. Hit that button. And then when it tells you that that backup has completed, you'll have a full backup of domain1.info. Now, go to the control panel of your web host, go through the process of installing WordPress, and install WordPress to domain1.org. Probably doesn't have it. Chances are your domain1.org is simply forwarding to domain1.info. But what we'll do is we'll remove any sort of redirects and then, as I said, install a fresh copy of WordPress into domain1.org. Doesn't matter what you set your username and password to, because that's going to become the username and password that you use on domain1.info. Log into the WordPress admin dashboard at domain1.org /wp-admin. And once you're logged in there, then go to plugins and add the UpdraftPlus plugin and then activate it. Once that's added and activated, you don't need to go in and configure it, but you do need to go to backup and restore. Once you're on backup and restore, upload all of the backup files that we created from domain1.info, and then it's going to prompt you and say, hey, looks like you're migrating this site. Would you like us to update all of the URLs and do a find and replace in the database? You do, so make sure that that stays checked, and then follow through the process of restoring the backup to your site. There may be a different step there. I think you choose upload and then you have to go to restore. I don't remember exactly if it walks you right through restoring or not. Once that's done, it's going to ask you to log in, and you're going to enter the domain1.info login at this point. Once you enter that information, you should get a success message letting you know that your site has successfully been migrated. And now if you go to domain1.org, you'll see that all of the pages and everything comes up, and in the address bar, all you see is domain1.org and not domain1.info. You can then go to domain1.org /wp-admin and go ahead and log in with your original details that were available on domain1.info and you now are controlling the main site. That's the process I would use to follow through and convert a mismatched domain name from .info to .org. Note, if there is a WordPress installation on .org, unless there's something specifically there that you need to keep, you could just go ahead and wipe that out and reset up a new WordPress site. Hope that helps and you got some value in it. Let us know if you have any questions. And again, this is just the way that I would proceed with moving a .info to a .org. Would love to take care of this for you. If you are interested, reach out and we'll be happy to help you out. Have a great day. So if you write uptime, you do have to interact with the text window. But if you type uptime, it'll give you the time. I interact where it says shell last login, VO up arrow twice. That puts me at the end of the last prompt where it says Michael B at Michael B's MapUp Pro. And then VO shift right arrow says 20:00 space UP. I don't know that I would normally spell character by character, but if I'm trying to read a file name or something, that can be very helpful. Because I don't have a Braille display hooked up to this Mac because the Mac keeps moving.
Okay, so you're hitting up arrow to go back. Oh no, you're trying to read. So you're VO up arrow to get the output, right? To get back to whatever it just output, and then you're doing VO
shift right arrow or left arrow.
Oh, okay, the shift. That's the part I was like, wait, that doesn't work. Okay, I was missing the shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I knew about that. If I did, I forgot it. Somebody else, years ago, and I just forget what they told me because I didn't immediately start using it. There's different ways to navigate or better ways to there's some more navigation available to you with VoiceOver in the terminal than at first appears. A couple of shortcuts that are handy. Control A will jump you to the beginning of a line, and Control E will jump you to the end.
What was that other one for end?
Control E.
Control E. Okay. So if I do this, you said Control A will take you to the beginning. Control E will take you to the end. That is not moving focus for VoiceOver, unfortunately.
Hold on, let me see. Okay, so that only actually seems to work. And this is where I primarily use it when you're trying to, like, if you just up arrow, no VO, but like you up arrow or you're typing something out and you want to jump around so you can edit something. And what you're typing. Control A puts you at the beginning, Control E. So oftentimes where you start typing and you leave off the B or something and brew, you end up with REW. I don't want to type all that long crap out again. So I'll just hit up arrow, hit Command A, Control A, not Command A, Control A to get to the beginning of the line and then insert the B or whatever it is I left out.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, that's working right here for me. And okay. So Control A takes you to the beginning, Control E takes you to the end. Gotcha.
And then tip for people, if you didn't catch what I was saying, VO command return will start text selection in terminal. And then you can use your regular VO right arrow. And I'm guessing, hold on, let me try it and I'll tell you. Install. Okay, so we're going to start there. VO. Yep, so VO shift left and right will, or right arrow will select characters, or you can just normal VO right and it'll select by word. Once you're done with that selection, VO command enter stop selecting, and then you can hit Command C, and you've just copied out your secret, code or whatever it is you needed to copy out of terminal.
Yeah.
What I will also do a lot of times if I know that there's going to, now see, this is turned into a tutorial, but another very useful character in terminal, especially if you are getting output from something, I'm trying to think of a scenario where I would do this. Let's say, for example, I ran a dig command. I'm not going to get into dig, but I ran a dig command because I want to get all the records from a domain, like what records are registered at this domain or whatever, DNS records. I don't want to have to go through terminal and copy all that crap.
You'd rather just dump it into a file?
I will just pipe it into a file. Exactly. So the vertical line, which is shift backslash on the American keyboard anyway, the backslash is the one right above your return key on the Mac. And I'm assuming also on Windows. Yes, because that would make sense. On the American, US English keyboard. On the United States of America's standard keyboard layout is where it is. I don't know if they've changed the name of the keyboards now, but anyway, but shift with that backslash will get you a vertical line, and then you type out the file name of where you want to send it. Reminder, just be mindful, if you don't put a file extension on the end like .txt, it's not going to have a file extension. So if I type dig space, whatever, blah, 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 bedrockinnovations.com, blah, 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 vertical line, DNS, it's just going to create a new DNS file with the name DNS with no extension.
So are you using ZSH or Bash?
I'm using Bash.
Okay. Because
that is a very important thing. Everything I'm saying definitely works in Bash. I have no knowledge of ZSH at all because I refuse to change.
Well, I might have to go to Bash because I type dig space payown.media space vertical line space dns.txt and I hit enter and it says ZSH command not find dns.txt. Do you have to put the file name in quotes, do you know?
Don't think so, unless you put spaces.
Yeah,
but if you don't put spaces in the file name, no, hold on. Pay on. Oh, no, mine didn't like that either. Okay, so hold on. Let's try this.
Not to call you out on it, but I'm like, I gotta try this because that is pretty helpful to be able to dump the content of terminal into a text document.
Why does that not work? That used to work. But also, my terminal is a little weird because I'm closer to the default terminal than I've been in a long time because I haven't copied all of my Bash stuff over.
So maybe it's a custom thing you changed.
Because, for example, like tab completion is a cool thing in the terminal. So let's say you're going CD space and you do tilde slash and then you start typing, downloads. So DOW. You can hit tab and it'll complete downloads. The thing that I used to hate is that you had to get your capitalization right. So downloads has a capital D. So if you put a lowercase d, by default, at least in Bash, by default, it would not autocomplete that. You had to put a capital D. Well, there's a little snippet you can add in your bash RC or bash _ profile file that will tell it to just ignore case and just autofill the thing, right? Which I love, and I keep running into this issue because I'll be trying to type out a path somewhere, and I'll hit tab and it won't work. And I'm like, why won't you work? Like I'll type open space -a space /AP and then hit tab and it won't do anything. I'm like, why? Oh, because I got to capitalize.
I figured it out. It's a greater than sign, not a pipe. So dig payown media greater than dns.txt. And I cheated because of ChatGPT.
Uh-oh. Hold on. 1 sec. We're going to get a live report of...
Unify. Now. Internet restored. Bedrock Special Editions Internet. Spectrum has been restored after a brief outage.
So apparently we just had a little blip with Spectrum.
Oh.
I got the message at the same time the notification popped up on the phone from the Ubiquity router that, the internet is back. Zoom says, your internet connection is unstable. I was like, all I did was just pipe this stuff into a file, man. Like, why is my internet? And then the Ubiquity thing popped up. I was like, oh, okay. Spectrum is not me. There's some that pipe does work. It just didn't work in that particular instance for some reason. But yeah, the greater than is where I was going next. I just got sidetracked thinking about like I really should go copy these little snippets back into my bash file because having to remember to capitalize letters and stuff is irritating.
And why have you not jumped onto the ZSH bandwagon? Just because you're used to Bash, or is there that much difference?
So I don't know how much of a difference there is. But the primary reason, there are two primary reasons. One, because I'm set in my ways. But more so, and honestly more important and a more legitimate reason for doing it is when I SSH to a server, it's going to be running bash. And I'm not going to go change, every server I set up to ZSH. So it makes sense to change the lowest common denominator, which is switch one computer back to bash as opposed to switching a bunch of Linux servers to ZSH.
So I'm going to go through Bart's Taming the Terminal. Do you know if he used ZSH or bash?
Bash.
Okay.
Because at the time that was the default in macOS still.
Okay.
Now I will go ahead.
I was going to say, are there negative effects to switching to bash from ZSH?
Not in my opinion, but I was also going to add like the version of bash, like, so you can go into your user. There's also a terminal command you can run. I'll always have to look it up. But a quicker way is go into system settings. Yeah, that's what it's called now.
Mm-hmm.
To users. And if you go to your user and hit VO Shift M on your name, I think, hold on. Now I got to do it because I could be telling you wrong. That's how it used to work. I could be wrong about how it works now.
You're like, that damn Michael, he's going to try it while I'm talking. And
Actually, I'm doing it while I'm talking.
Oh.
Because I always have to. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, highlight your name, like focus on your name, hit VO Shift M if you're a VoiceOver user, or right click if you're a mouse user.
Go to advanced options.
Go to advanced, unlock your system, because apparently that's a thing you have to do. I wish you would make up your mind when you want Touch ID and when you're going to use the password. Because I certainly put my finger on Touch ID and then nothing happened. And then I realized it wanted me to type a password.
I did that same thing too. So maybe it's certain parts of it that you have to do it. But yeah, I touched the thing and it didn't close the password. So then I realized it wanted me to enter my password.
All right. So in there now, I'm gonna give the standard warning here. Well, actually, there's a warning right there if you jump to the beginning, but it doesn't drop your focus on the beginning. So I'm going to give everybody the warning that you may not go back and read on this dialogue that pops up. Be very careful changing anything here. For example, that user ID, don't touch it.
Yeah.
Unless you know exactly what you're doing. I've never changed my user ID.
Right. Is yours 501?
Yep. Because I'm the first user on the system. So I get 501 because root is 500.
Ah, okay. See,
don't change your group unless you know what you're doing. Just leave it at staff because that's what macOS gives you. And that's how things continue to work the way that they function. So that when you want elevated privileges, you have to authenticate. Leave it alone. I don't think you should change your username from here, but,
do it at your own risk.
Yeah, do it at your own risk. But what you do get to once you navigate is your login shell.
Yep.
So from here you can change.
There.
Yeah, there's a lot of them there. Some of them are very, very old, even older than Bash. Let's see. KSH is something I don't know about. SH, which is older than Shell, because is older than Bash, because SH was one of the original shells, and then Bash is for born again shell, like they brought it back. But anyway.
I've never been in this dialogue. This is an interesting dialogue.
That is actually using the wrong version of Bash, too, so give me a second. Let me quit terminal, and then I'm going to fix that while I'm here. But at any rate, you can switch to Bash right there. There is a command you're going to want to Google or search, however you do that, to make, if you switch back to Bash on a modern version of macOS, you want to, this is why people not telling people to listen to the show. They're like, what are they talking about? But I'm going to finish this point though, because it's important. There is a command that you're probably going to want to look up if you switch back to Bash in your terminal from a modern, on a modern version of macOS, that will stop it from every time you open a new terminal window, from telling you that you should change from Bash to ZSH because that's not a default. There's a suppression thing that you can add. I always put it in my bash _ profile file because it's very specific to macOS. So I put it in that file. And that makes it just stop telling. So I don't see that when I VO up, to try to look at other stuff. Like I don't end up saying that one. I'm like, stop telling me this. I know what I'm doing. Here's the other thing though. This particular version of Bash that macOS comes still installed with is old because Apple's really no longer supporting it. What I tend to do, and sometimes I have to do it in ZSH, at some point I will set up a new Mac and Bash will not be available in this pop-up, I'm guessing. So I'm going to have to do what I'm about to tell you I do NZSH first and then switch. Because right now it's at /bin/bash, which tells me this is the wrong bash. I'm on a newer bash. So first you'll install Homebrew. Then you go brew install bash. Gives you a newer version of bash than Apple ships with. And then you go in here to this dialog that I've just told Michael about. And you see all your options right there. Those are all the built-in versions that you get from Apple. And you'll know if you're using the Apple provided version of bash or the updated brew version based off the path that it shows you. The fact that I see /bin/bash tell me it's macOS's. So I'm going to click choose. And when the little dialog pops up, I'm going to hit Command-Shift-G, and I'm going to type /OPTHOM tab and let it complete Homebrew. Do I need bin? Yep, and then bash. There we go.
So you type that in?
Well, I typed some of that in. So what I did is I hit choose so I could choose my own binary for bash that I want to use, or whatever shell you want to use. I mean, fish is not in here. So if you install fish, I think you have to do something similar. Don't ask me about it. I don't know nothing about it other than fish is a thing that exists. And a lot of people seem to like it. But what I did is I hit choose so I could choose the brew version, and then I hit Command-Shift-G because I'm basically now in a Finder window so I can go to something, and I type /OP tab and it completed the TE / and then I typed HO tab and it completed the rest of Homebrew, and I hit BI tab and it put the N and a slash, and then I typed BA and it completed bash, and I hit return and I selected the bash alias that was right there. And now I am using /op/homebrew /blah, blah, 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 bash something 0.37, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So now I have the right version of bash. And to make sure I didn't break my terminal, I will now open it back up. And yes, it still works apparently. So everything's good. Brew info Copilot. Now, if I broke something, typing brew wouldn't have worked. Because it would have been like, I have no idea where brew is. What do you mean? There's no brew command here. So we're good. So now, hold on. You know what I didn't do? And somebody is yelling at me right now on the podcast. I'm going to do it now. Oh, nope. That's it. We're done. Hit escape to get out of that window. Once you're done changing your shell. But from my perspective, there's not really, I'm not enough of a shell nerd to make any distinction other than there are certain commands that work in certain shells. And what I know for sure is they're just different configuration files. So in my opinion, I think you can do everything in one shell that you can do in another. It's just your configuration file for customizing stuff is different. You know, it's .zsh or something. For ZSH is .bash_profile on the Mac, or .bashrc on Linux systems that are running bash. Okay, brew info Copilot, because I really want to know what this Copilot is that I found. And now we're going to circle all the way back to where we were, which is this is how you can figure out it once you do brew search if the thing that you're looking at is what you think it is, or is what you're looking for. Brew info, the name of the item, so in this case, Copilot.
And then that'll give you information. And you can brew info Copilot space greater than space file name dot extension too, correct?
Yep, you could do that and then just pipe all that. But it's not that much information like that.
Right.
Yeah. But you could do that.
Yep. So I'm going to spend some time playing with taming the terminal, because I think that'll be really helpful. I also want to learn how to install. Did you ever figure out which version? Oh, we determined you had Python version 3.13.
Yep, it is 3.13 something.
Yeah.
I also I need to go add it to my path. So typing Python right now does nothing for me because I just installed it. So I need to update my path. So it's actually in the path, so I can just type Python. So I don't have to type the whole path to it to make it run. But as soon as I do that, I will test the script and see if it works.
Sweet.
And if it doesn't, then I will figure out what the error is or what it tells me I'm missing and try to get that working.
And then you could push that to GitHub and then...
Yeah.
There you go. See?
Unless it's a Python thing, and then I'll just do brew uninstall Python, and then brew install Python at version 3.12 or whatever.
Would you not use? Do you not use
version.
environments?
Python environments.
So yeah. So apparently, there's a way to get it so you can have multiple versions of Python installed, and then you can run a certain version for a specific script.
Yeah, I don't do enough Python to actually to do that. Like generally, whatever I'm doing with Python will run on the version that whatever version I happen to be using. So I don't do that with Python. I have done it with PHP.
Yeah,
and I've done it with that's actually what NVM Node version manager is for, with Node stuff, so you can run different versions of Node. If you're doing a lot of JavaScript development on Node, which is not a thing I'm doing, but there's a few projects I mess with that require Node, so I have to install it. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of become a standard thing for a lot of these command line tools like Python or PHP, where you can. That's one of the things I liked about Valet, is because Valet, for example, I could pin let's say I was working on a WordPress site or any PHP project, but in my case, it would have been a WordPress site. And I had the server set to be running 7.4, and I hadn't upgraded it to, 8 when 8 came out. I could pin that, I could have a default PHP that Valet would always use. So I could set it to 7.4, and it's like, okay, any new project I create is going to use PHP 7.4. But when 8 first came out, one of the ways that I kind of tested WordPress stuff to see what was going to break is I created a new project, but then I pinned that to use version 8 of PHP. So whenever I switched into that directory and started running commands or trying to run code out of that directory, it was using PHP 8 instead of 7.4. But again, you can do similar things with, Node version manager if you're doing JavaScript stuff. I think Ruby has a similar thing, way of doing that for Ruby stuff, which I really know nothing about. Python can do that. So yeah. All right. So I just wanted to drop in. We're going to do us a quick little bonus piece for our tip jar subscribers. And at some point we may actually I've been in my mind putting together a sort of roundtable discussion for this, but I'm not sure if I want to do it or not. 'Cause it may not be relevant in a while. But what in the hell is going on with Apple?
Are you specifically following up on what we were talking about when we weren't recording with Safari and VoiceOver, or?
So there's that, but at a higher level. So this is what's today's date? We just figured this out a minute.
Today is the 10th.
Okay, today is the 10th. So I think it was earlier this week when Judge Gonzalez Rogers. I just want to say I really like that lady. Like, I don't know anything about her, but one, she seems to understand tech. Like, she's had a lot of cases going across her docket, dealing with. She handled the Apple Epic thing. She handled the Epic Google, I think, also. But she's handled a lot of tech stuff. But man, did she slap Apple to crap down. But here's the problem. The reason I say what the hell is going on with Apple is because I have been trying not to be an Apple apologist, because I feel like we give Apple, I probably more so than you give Apple hell about stuff that doesn't work and crap that they do that is stupid. I've been we've been kind of keeping away because mostly we're not a news show, for one thing, but also it's you never know what drives a lot of stuff until you know, right? Mm-hmm. I hate speculating about what people are doing when we may not know exactly what's happening. Well, now we know exactly what's happening because discovery, here's why you don't like to get sued, right? And you try to go settle because discovery. I'm quickly summing up. Everybody's probably heard it everywhere, but it, and the reason I was thinking about a round table is like getting in, I really kind of want to know how Doyce feels about this. So we may sure reach out to him, see if he wants to come on the show and talk about some of that, from a developer aspect. And does any of that affect his job at all? Or is he thinking about doing things differently? Essentially, the judge has basically told Apple now, what you did to allow external linking for app developers was completely out of bounds. It was not what I meant for you to do at all. And since you didn't even since you did everything you could possibly do to make this difficult and continue your anti-competitive behavior, now you can't make any money off of people's links, which is stupid, right? And not the judge is stupid. Apple, like, geez, you. So, and what they did is they're like, oh, okay, we're going to make this super difficult. We're going to throw up all these, we're going to make the wording of these warnings as scary as possible. And we're going to take 27%, of any sales that happen through the links that people click. Right. Man, you could have taken 15 and you probably would have been good. Everybody wouldn't have been happy about it, but the judge would have let that go. Right. Because she didn't say you couldn't make money. Now she said you can't even make money off of it. So you're done. Like, you're screwed. That they make it. That's the only thing I think they may be able to get overturned in appeal, of her decision. But what really came out is like they tried to make the scare screen, as people are referring it to, which you click on a button to go out of an app. Let's say you're in, Fortnite's not on the thing. Let's say Amazon
resubmitted it.
Yeah. But I mean, at the time before this got changed, if Spotify were to have put a button up under the old rules before the judge made them fix it, put a button in the app that says, hey, you can go out to Spotify to purchase or whatever, or go to Spotify.com for more information about plans, whatever they were able to say, because they were also very restrictive on what you could say. When you click that button as a user, you got this pop up, and they intentionally tried to make it as scary as possible. Oh, you're leaving the safety of Apple, and we're not responsible. You're going to the internet. It's like, geez,
not the dark net, but the internet.
Like, calm the hell down, man.
Yeah.
Right? Which intentionally is going to make people not go there. Now, it's fair, I think, for them to say, hey, once you click this, you're leaving the Apple, you're leaving this app and going out to the wider internet, in some form or fashion. Like, whatever you get to on this company, you're going to this company's website or this developer's website. Our terms and conditions and privacy or whatever no longer apply once you're there. That's fair to say, because I see that on websites now. Like, that's fair. You don't have to do all the screwy crap they did. I think if they would have taken anywhere between 10 and 15% cut, fairly, I think they should have done 12 or under, because you gotta factor in that Apple's gonna have to deal with some support crap when somebody goes outside the store and pays for a subscription, then they can't cancel it. They're going to deal with that, right? They're going to deal with a lot of backlash. So they deserve something off of it. Also, you're hosting the app on their infrastructure. There's a whole conversation I really want to have with some developers. Like, how do you feel if you're a paid developer? Like, you sell your apps and you make money. You're financing everybody who puts an app on the App Store for free, because they don't get charged anything except their developer account fees once a year, which is a very strange thing to me. And I've not heard anybody address that. But going back to the whole deal with Apple, they would have taken a smaller percentage and not gone through, even with this, but now they can't make any money off of it. So you made some money for a few years that you may not have to get back, but now you can't make any money going forward. Like, stupid decisions. But it makes me really wonder, like, the times I've said, well, maybe Apple's rushing, trying to get some back room, back underlying infrastructural encryption stuff done, so it's more difficult to undo it, right? That's one thing I've said may be the reason for them overlooking a lot of bugs, because they're in a sprint. I really now am really wondering, has Apple, companies change, etc. I never had blinders on when it came to Apple at all. They're a business, they're a corporation. But they used to be focused on customer experience. They've never been all that great to developers, to be honest about it, in a lot of ways, but they've always focused on customer experience. This whole thing with third-party linking is a bad customer experience situation. The way that they originally did it. Also, by the way, you can click a button in the Kindle app now and go out to a website and buy a book. I did that the other day. I was like, I got to try it. It's amazing. You can buy a freaking book.
Which means Audible might be coming soon. Just saying.
Well, you could use credits in Audible already. Right,
but you couldn't buy credits.
But you couldn't buy credits.
Or buy a book directly.
Or buy a book with cash. That could be on the way.
And Netflix is like, we're not going to take action right now. We're going to wait and see and go from there. When I know a couple of news people were surprised that Netflix isn't, but I think Netflix is anticipating Apple's rebuttal to this. And they're like, let's just wait till the dust settles before we make a decision. And they're trying to play nice with Apple.
I think that's it too. Like, they're already trying to negotiate with Apple for the Apple TV thing to get search more integrated, I think.
Well, and it was there for a minute. Do you remember that last year?
yeah, I was like, crap, I wish I'd have had Netflix and I would have gotten it,
Yep.
but I didn't. Yeah. It was there for a second. So they have the code written, which, just like Spotify already had the code written for their thing. As soon as the decision came out, like, oh, yeah, we pushed the app to the app store. They're going to approve it.
Yeah.
That is another thing for people to think about as developers, especially I think more of the indie developers is like, do you want to risk jumping on that side of it? Here's the thing that's really, I think, going to be the pain in the butt if they get everything rolled back, which again, I don't think they will, but you have people paying for something outside of the app store, thinking of subscriptions more so than anything. And you're not a Spotify, right? You're let's say Doise puts out a Techopolis online app,
Yep.
right? I don't
Like
know if
this
that
meetings
exists
app
already
he's
or not.
releasing. Let's say he adds a subscription to that.
And now you can go outside of the iOS app store and pay for it directly on his website. And he sets up Stripe and does all of that stuff. All that is great until Apple says you got to turn that off, right? You then how do you unravel that and get that back to where it needs to be? Which again, I think the Netflix approach is probably the smarter to take. Spotify doesn't care because they're part of what's driving a lot of the EU action against Google and Apple anyway. We know that Mr. Tim
Cook?
the other guy, Fortnite, Mr. Tim Fortnite. I can't remember the name of the Epic. I was stuck, man. I couldn't think of the company name. We know Epic doesn't care because they kicked off this whole thing. So, they just going hard.
Yeah. Yep, they sure are. And you know what? They're getting the publicity of it. They're getting publicity.
What really kind of concerns me is like, has Apple just completely moved over to where a lot of people thought they were for a long time, which is it's all about the money. Like it's greed over the experience, which is, I'm an Apple user. Like I like my Mac. I've always said that. Like I like my Mac more than I've liked any other computer. Simply, I like the operating system. It's not Apple necessarily. VoiceOver is killing me right now. Like it really is kind of sucking in. And with the stuff that came out of Discovery, before she came down with this ruling, or after this ruling came out, and the Discovery stuff that hit the wire, it's like, are they no longer focused on the? Have we lost the Tim Cook of 12 years ago that told a investor to get out of his bloody stock if he was more concerned about the ROI on accessibility features? Like, is that Tim Cook gone? And he's just going to listen to the money guys now. And what's really funny is not Scott Forstall. That's the wrong person. I can't remember this guy's name now. He's the Apple guy. He's been the Apple guy. Phil Schiller.
Okay.
Phil is the Apple executive that sat in all of the court proceedings with the original Epic case, where Apple won everything they wanted except for Epic won that little bit about letting people link out of their apps to their websites.
Yeah.
Phil's been there since, I want to say he might even have been there before Steve came back to Apple, but I know he's there the whole time, of the resurgence of Apple, right? I think he's still honestly think he was a part of that original crew that may have been there before Steve came back when Apple was about to die. But if I'm wrong, he definitely came back to Apple when Steve came back, which means he's been there about longer than anybody else is working at Apple right now.
Right.
So he's been through the whole thing. He ran the App Store for a while. If anybody gets Apple's ethos and their focus and has that deeply ingrained, we got to take care of ourselves because if we don't, we'll go broke and we're out of business. Then we got Microsoft, giant head, Bill Gates giving us money just to keep us going. So he didn't get in trouble, which is a thing. Phil said, don't do the thing you guys are about to do. Like, you can't do that, right? This guy says you can't do that. Don't freaking do it. And it really makes me worry that we're at a point that, hey, it's not because Apple's been, trying to get ahead of things that they knew were coming down the line with all these different countries and governments wanting to either stop encryption or get backdoors to encryption. They're trying to tighten all these screws up so that we don't have to worry about this. They can truly plead hardship because, hey, we can't undo all of this at this point. Michael's phone is already encrypted with all his crowd stuff encrypted. How do we unencrypt his phone? Well, we can't do that. It's not possible. So let it go. They're just focused on the bottom line and the continuing growth of their profits and have lost their way as a company. And it's concerning because what I feel like I'm seeing now, based off, because we can guess this happened or that happened. But what I really feel like we're seeing now is like the gutting of a company. Like we're seeing that slow down. Like when Microsoft was on top and then they kind of missed mobile and they kept screwing up. Like I feel like Apple has missed a thing and like they've missed a turn and got misdirected somewhere. And we're seeing what is about to be the admittedly decades long decline of what could be the decades long decline of Apple as a company. Because they have lost their focus. And it's concerning on an accessibility front because it does not appear they care about user, experience as much as they care about their bottom line, which is not what we've come to expect from that company. It's concerning, man.
It is.
But I'll still keep using my Mac because I can run Windows on my Mac and I can run Audio Hijack on my Mac, and
for now, until Apple's like, we don't want that. I don't.
We don't. That's the thing. We don't know though.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Curious, what do you think? Thanks for your support as a Tip Jar subscriber. Send us an email, feedback@technicallyworking.show, and give us your thoughts and let us know if we should put this bonus content in the show somewhere too, because I want to make sure you're actually listening to bonus content. So give us some feedback.
At technicallyworking.show or get us on Mastodon. Just talk to the bot, tw@technically.social.
There you go. Someone will see it. Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see it. I got notifications turned off with it for stuff like that. Like if somebody mentions the bot or something. Yeah.
Cool. That's tw@technically.social if you're interested in chatting with that bot. Again, my name is Michael. I'm on Mastodon Payon, Payown @dragonscave.space. He's on Mastodon Demasi, Damashe @technically.social. You can follow both of us and the show, which occasionally posts out things, mainly the episodes. But if we forget about notes or want to share a link with you, we'll often share it. And that's tw@technically.social. So you've been listening to some bonus clips. We've given our Technically Working Tip Jar subscribers in addition to the content that we are posting. Speaking of which, Tip Jar subscribers, we appreciate you very much and want to let you know that in the very near future, like possibly even before you get this episode, it really depends on if I sit down and edit it or wait until tomorrow to do it, but you will receive mine and Demasi's test of the live stream, a little bit of discussion about how we've set it up, some things that we need to fix, and I believe we may have fixed some of those, and some other content for you. So that'll drop as a bonus episode if it hasn't already. But let's wrap this content up with two more clips. One is going to be, both of these have been publicly published to the feed, but I think they're timely. One is going to be the trailer we released for Technically Working 2 years ago. Curious if you guys think it still applies. Should we think about something else? And then right after that, I want to share a clip of Demasi converting multi-markdown to rich text and then sending it to me in an email.
For those listening on the live stream, because Mike does have a large Facebook following. ACH, if you turn that on, ACH is much cheaper. Yeah. See, everybody that needs a live stream, you really should just get a Mac and Audio Hijack. That's all you really need.
Yeah, Angry is an option. Oh, Ecamm Live has a new window. It told me that someone reacted. That's cool. Apparently, the live stream is hearing my voiceover.
He's going to break it.
I'm going to break it.
But technically, he's working over it.
You know who that was, right?
I got a question.
Okay.
You said that you're checking out reminders now.
Often she'll tell me, can you do this? Can you do that? And I'll be doing something else, so I don't put it into Todoist. I know I need to do that, but I ain't going to go set that up. So Marty did that for me.
How do I record audio on Windows? I don't even know. We don't have social media information for you at the moment because I don't know about Michael, but I most certainly have not figured out what I'm doing about any of that.
Okay, that ad made me smile. It kind of does represent how the show is. It's all over the place. So let's go to this multi-markdown demonstration from Demasi. And then after we do that, I'll be right back to wrap things up for you.
So what I'm going to demonstrate today is a tool that I use on macOS all the time and have been using for years. Anyone that knows me know that I love Markdown. Because it makes my life a whole lot easier. And thanks to Brett Terpstra, who I should also make sure we link to, I use a macOS service that will, actually there's several services from Brett Terpstra with Markdown conversions and things, but the one that I'm going to demonstrate here today is converting Markdown or multi-Markdown into rich text. And this is how I send a lot of emails. So if you've ever gotten an email from me that has a nice little text-based link, I'm not using a little thing where I type in the text and then highlight it and hit Command K and do all of that. Or if you've gotten an email from me with a nice bulleted list or numbered list, again, I did not use whatever the formatting tools are in Mail for that. I wrote it in Markdown and used this service. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through and very quickly read this email that I have generated for Michael, somewhat unnecessarily other than it being a demonstration. So let's go through.
New line. I've just added the following audio to our shared sync folder, unprocessed. HTTPS, JDX9K2FACHF327QBPTV.
Now I've just added this audio to our sync folder, unprocessed, and unprocessed is going to be turned into a link.
The recordings are sending files with text selection to the audio demonstrating the
And I go through and I have a little short list of what is in the folder for Michael to work on.
Make sure to let people know to visit misspelled payon.live.
And then I have a link at the end. Make sure to let people know to visit and then payon.live, right, for more content. So now I'm just going to hit Command A.
Hey Michael, I just added.
Selected all of this. Now this service is on your services menu. So VO Shift M and then very quickly up arrow into services. You can locate this once installed. I have actually mapped this to a shortcut. Control R for me because it's rich text.
ND, convert, multi-markdown to RTF. Selection replaced, paste. Hey Michael.
Boom. And now we're done. So now let's very quickly go through and actually read this entire email again.
Hey Michael. I just added the following audio to our shared sync folder, unprocessed.
All right, you hear the voice change there with VoiceOver, which is how mine is configured to let you know that that is a link.
The recordings are bullet sending files with misspelled LaunchBar. Bullet text selection to misspelled LaunchBar. Bullet audio demonstrating this email. Bullet the earlier audio for the line shell audio tests. Make sure to let people know to visit payon.live. Misspelled for more content.
All right, and apparently I misspelled something on the end of that, but it's okay.
Payon.live for more content.
So I have converted multi-markdown right inside the email app. I'm in the Mac Mail app using rich text. I've written in multi-markdown and now converted that into rich text. So I'm going to send this to Michael.
Send.
And Michael will follow up right behind there. So maybe we even merge the audio together so that you see how this email is presented to him on the other end. All right. Stay tuned for more tools like this. And again, this are the multi-markdown services from Brett Terpstra. We'll be sure to link you.
So Michael may have accidentally completely deleted the email and now he can't find it. But the point is, writing in Markdown does easily allow you to format your documents, and you can start those documents anywhere because Markdown is plain text. And don't forget, Technically Working coming February 2023. Huge shout out to Andre for the music used in that content. We appreciate the work that you do. Let's wrap this strange TW113 app with a demonstration Demasi did for LaunchBar settings. And if you're not familiar with LaunchBar, go back and listen to some of the past content because I think you'll find some value in it. It's an amazing utility that allows you to quickly search and take action on content within your Mac. And that doesn't have to specifically be a file. It can be apps. Well, I guess an app is a file as well. But it's definitely a great tool for replacing Spotlight, in our opinion. We know not everyone likes it. We respect that. But here's Demasi going through his LaunchBar settings.
All right, so today what I want to demonstrate is I'm going to take you through my adventures in LaunchBar's settings. I'm going to go a little fast because most stuff is kind of self-explanatory, but I will stop and explain either what some maybe ambiguous options are actually for, or explain why I'm changing certain things the way that I am changing them. So without further ado, let's get into it.
LaunchBar. System dialog.
So I hit Command Space to bring up LaunchBar. Now I have already changed some settings, but right now my LaunchBar is in the most default state I have ever operated in for an extended period of time since I first started using it. And it's been painful, I gotta say, because I don't have a lot of things configured as I normally would in preparation for doing this audio. So I hit Command Space. That's the one thing I have changed is my shortcut is Command Space because I don't use Spotlight at all. And very briefly, if you're on a prior to Ventura operating system, you want to go to System Preferences, Keyboard, Shortcuts, and then go down in the first table to Spotlight. And I just uncheck the box for Spotlight. You can change the shortcut for Spotlight or leave it as is and set your LaunchBar shortcut to be something different if you're a Spotlight user. If you're like me, you're going to uncheck Spotlight altogether. And then when you open LaunchBar for the first time and you are going through the setup process, which I didn't record, you're asked what you want your shortcut to be. And so long as Spotlight shortcut is not the same as what you attempt to set yours to, or you have disabled the Spotlight shortcut, you can use Command Space. So now I'm going to hit Command Comma to get into the preferences, because that's really what this is all about.
Toolbar. In toolbar.
So I'm going to start in this toolbar at the beginning with General.
General selected. Out of toolbar. General options.
All right, so let's go through the general options real quick.
Automatically showing high index in progress. Uncheck checkbox.
Automatically showing high index in progress. I always uncheck this. What I expected would show is just like some sort of, status message of that is, updating the index, which are the things that LaunchBar searches for and keeps up to date. Very much like the Spotlight index. In fact, it uses the Spotlight index for some things. I unchecked that because I don't need to see it and I probably wouldn't see it. And if VoiceOver spoke it, it would be annoying.
Speak selected item. Uncheck checkbox.
Speak selected item. Not exactly sure what that one does, but because I'm using VoiceOver, it seems to me that I don't need any extra speech stuff going on. So again, I always have that one unchecked.
Play instant send sound effect. Uncheck checkbox.
Play instant send sound effect. I'm actually going to turn that on. And that is when you're using instant send. See another bit of audio, sending files with LaunchBar or text selection to LaunchBar for what instant send actually does.
Retype delay. 8%. Slider.
There's a retype delay. I never touched that at all.
0.5, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, 3.0 seconds.
And all of those are just the different, kind of default quick settings for your repeat.
Open location. Switch to open location when dot character is entered. Always pop-up button.
All right. So open location. This is a very handy way to quickly, using LaunchBar, bring up a field where you can type in a URL, hit return, and have it open in your default browser. I have this set anytime I proceed.
Menu. Leading dot only.
Leading dot only.
Leading dot only. Pop-up.
Is what I do. So if I want to open up a URL, let's say I want to go to payon.live. If I hit dot, that automatically puts me in an edit field in LaunchBar where I could type payon.live and then, rest of the way there.
Prefer secure URL schemes. Check checkbox.
Prefer secure. So that's going to automatically fall back to HTTPS as opposed to HTTP.
Automatically prefix hostname with www. Check checkbox.
Automatically prefix the host name with www. I uncheck that because some of the domains that I use to get there, I know for a fact www does nothing because I'm the one who set them up and I don't use that.
Default top level domain. .com. Content selected.
Default top level.com. I'll leave that as is. You can always edit that as you're typing it in. And I'll have a demonstration of what this looks like in a later video. So you get a little bit more familiar with this. Postal addresses.
Mailing label personal prefix. Add content selected. Edit text.
You can change what the personal label prefix is. Sometimes you send out a letter and you're printing an address onto an envelope or something. It says attention or if you're a spammer, don't be a spammer. It may say to customer, dear resident. I don't really touch this because I don't do a lot of printing envelopes. All right, so that is the end of our general section.
Toolbar.
I'm going to quickly jump back to the toolbar.
Appearance button.
And we're going to go to appearance.
Appearance selected. Out of toolbar.
So now I'm out of the toolbar and I'm going to navigate through the appearance options and make a few changes and explain what I think needs explaining here.
Theme. Default. Pop-up button.
Theme, I don't really care so much about.
Show result when searching. Immediately. Pop-up button.
Show result when searching immediately. I've never not had it set to that because that is the default. So I don't know what anything else would do. I just leave it alone because it behaves as I expect it to, which is when I type something, you instantly show me what you think I'm looking for.
Show abbreviation. Checkbox.
At least that's my understanding of it. Show abbreviation. I'm going to uncheck this. Again, I'll show this in a later video, how to actually do this, but you can set an abbreviation so that when, say, for example, when you type MAS, that always brings up the App Store, right? Just to, make your life easier. You can customize what some of those things are so it gets you filtered much quicker. I don't need it to show me those on LaunchBar when I'm browsing, however, because again, VoiceOver doesn't speak them and I can't see them.
Show all subtitles. Uncheck checkbox.
Show all subtitles. That is a new setting. I'm not really sure what that does.
Automatically hide LaunchBar. Checkbox.
Automatically hide LaunchBar. This you absolutely want checked, unless you have a reason not to. What this does is when you invoke LaunchBar with command space, in my case, and you perform an action or navigate to a space, do whatever you're going to do with LaunchBar, it will go away out of your focus and drop you where you are and not just be there. So also helps when you're recording screencasts that you don't have this little window kind of hovering somewhere off to the side either. So that I always have checked.
Open on same display as frontmost window. Checkbox.
That doesn't so much matter for me, but if you use multiple displays, you may want to think this process through as to where you want LaunchBar to show up. For me, I'm always just on one display or no display if I'm on a Mac Mini, because I just stick in a little fake thing that tricks the Mac Mini.
10.7%. Stepper. 7 visible rows while 15%. Stepper. 7 visible rows while searching by abbreviation.
7 visible rows while searching by abbreviation. These are settings that I never touch.
15%. 13 visible rows while browsing.
All right, so that is the end of the appearance. So let's go back.
Toolbar. In toolbar. 8 items. Appearance. Selected. Shortcuts button.
And we're going to go to shortcuts. All right, so let's go through shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts.
Search in LaunchBar. Checkbox.
Search in LaunchBar.
Command space. Edit text.
Mine is set to command space.
Search in Spotlight. Uncheck checkbox.
Search in Spotlight. You can set up a custom shortcut that will trigger Spotlight if you use it. I have this unchecked because, as I said earlier, I don't use Spotlight.
Snippets. Uncheck checkbox.
Snippets, I haven't really used the snippets feature in LaunchBar myself personally, because I have been for almost as long as I've been a LaunchBar user, been a Text Expander user, probably longer with Text Expander. So I never even explored the snippets here in LaunchBar.
Control option command space. Dim text emoji. Uncheck checkbox.
Emoji, I used to use the emoji search in LaunchBar. It's pretty cool, but I now use Rocket. So I don't need their search. One less thing for it to index and keep track of, and one less shortcut for me to stumble over.
Shift command space. Dim text. Calculator. Check checkbox.
Calculator. This is super handy, and I use the
Clear. Edit text.
that says clear. It's not letting me change it for some reason, but I usually have that set to equals. And if I just tap the equals key, it actually does work.
Modifier tabs.
I'm not sure why it's saying clear, but the calculator shortcut, set that and you're able to tap. For me, I tap equals. I bring up LaunchBar, tap equals, and it automatically puts me in a quick little calculation field where I can do some very quick basic math. Usually it's multiplying, dividing, figuring out what, 32% of something is, so I know how much of a discount they're trying to make me think I'm getting.
Search in LaunchBar. Modifier tabs.
All right, now we get to modifier tabs. All of this I'm going to breeze through fairly quickly because they're like alternative keys that you can use for things, and I don't use any of them. Feel free to explore at your own leisure.
Search in LaunchBar. Off. Pop-up button. Instant send. Off. Pop-up button. Snippets. Off. Pop-up button. Browsing. Alternative arrow keys.
All right, so we went through all of those, and what those basically are is you can use some alternative keys to invoke LaunchBar as well.
Instant send. Off. Snippets. Off. Browsing.
As I said, I don't use any of those, so I turned all of them to off. Some of them are on, so you may want to check that.
Alternative arrow keys. None. Pop-up button.
Alternative arrow keys, I don't use those. Those are where you can use like J, K, and L for arrow keys. I think K is, I don't remember how they lay out, and that's why I don't use them, because I wouldn't remember how they're laid out.
Instant info browsing. Checkbox.
Instant info browsing. Now, this is a pretty cool feature.
Allows to trigger info browsing by pressing and holding the right arrow key.
Now, it just told you how to invoke it. I'll tell you what it does. So you hit command space. Let's say you navigate over to a file and you want to kind of browse that text file real quick or something just to see if that's the right file, because maybe you didn't name it very well. I am guilty of this oftentimes. Or if you press and hold the right arrow key, it'll drill down a little bit more into a thing. And it works in several different places. I don't use it a ton, but it is handy when I do need it. And I don't, I notice when it's not on. I can't really pin down situations when I actually use it.
Quitting LaunchBar.
Other than the example I gave.
Quit LaunchBar with option command Q. Uncheck checkbox.
Now this gives you option command Q if you check this to quit LaunchBar so that you don't accidentally quit it. But it also pops up are you sure you want to quit LaunchBar if you hit Command Q? So I don't want to press an extra key because I'll forget.
Quit LaunchBar with Option Command Q. Uncheck toolbar.
Plus, also never quit LaunchBar. So
In toolbar. 8 items shortcuts.
all right, so that is the end of our shortcut screen. Let's go to the next.
Actions button. Action selected.
All right, now we're on the actions pane of the preferences for LaunchBar.
Default actions selected. Tab 1 of 2.
There are two sections here: actions,
Options tab.
default
2.
actions, and then options. So first we're going to go through the default actions, and then I'll come back and quickly run through the options.
Instant open folders. Open. Pop-up button.
Instant open folders. Open, right? Now, what this effectively means is like if you navigate to a folder in LaunchBar and you tap return, what do you want the behavior to be?
Menu. Browse in LaunchBar.
You have browse in LaunchBar
Browse in LaunchBar. Checkmark. Open.
or open.
Open. Pop-up.
I choose open, so if I tap return, that will open that folder in the Finder versus just continuing to open it in LaunchBar. If I want to navigate and browse the folder in LaunchBar, just tap the right arrow on it and it continues, to allow me to navigate within LaunchBar directly. When I tap return, drops me inside of that folder in Finder, which is great.
Apple scripts.
Apple scripts just determines how you handle Apple scripts. This is what the next couple of sections are going to be like.
Run. Pop-up button.
So if you if you focus on an Apple script in LaunchBar and you hit return, what do you want it to do? In my case, I want you to run that Apple script. Your other options are
Open with Apple script editor.
open with Apple script editor,
Checkmark.
run,
Checkmark. Run.
and that's
Run.
it.
Pop-up button.
Right. Well, for me, I want it to run if I'm looking for Apple script in LaunchBar.
Automated workflows. Run. Pop-up button.
Same with automated workflows, run, or you have an option to open them.
Search templates. Enter text. Pop-up button.
Search templates. So there are search templates, and this will be another piece of content for me to create later on, not only using search templates, but creating your own search templates. But your options here are, what do you want search templates to do? So I'll give you an example of a search template. I have a search template for yourownpay.com to search for podcasts that I probably said something on, or to search a podcast for, what number is this episode? By default, there's Google, YouTube, etc. I do use the YouTube search a little bit more than I like to admit. Probably not as much as most people would think, but a lot more than I personally like to admit. But anyway, I can, bring up a search template, tap the space bar, and then I can type in my search in LaunchBar, hit return, and then have it open that search result in my default browser. That's the behavior that I want.
Search templates. Enter text. Pop-up button.
So enter text is the option that I have mine set to.
Menu. Checkmark.
We'll check and see what the other options
Checkmark.
are.
Enter text. Open search page.
Or open search page. So my assumption, because I haven't used that, is that if I have it set to open search page, instead of me being able to type my search into LaunchBar directly, hit return, and then have it open the search results on the appropriate page, it would just take me to, say, YouTube search.
Contacts. Open contact. Pop-up button.
Contacts, open contacts. So what do I want to happen when I search out a contact and I tap return? In this case, it opens contacts. Your other options are show information in large type and do some other things. I don't really use that all that often.
AIM buddies. Open with messages. Pop-up button.
AIM buddies, open in messages. That's, I believe, the default setting. I don't really navigate to message people that way through LaunchBar, so I don't ever change this.
Phone numbers. Display large type. Pop-up button.
Phone numbers display in large type. Again, I believe that is the default setting. Once again, I typically, if I search for contacts in LaunchBar, I will find the piece of information, and usually it's Command C to copy that bit of information off of it. So I never really hit return on contacts at all. But that is the end of our default actions.
Default action options tab 2 of 2.
Let's go to options.
Hide other applications when opening an item. Uncheck checkbox.
Hide other application when opening an item. I've never had this box checked. My assumption is that it would just hide all of the apps on the screen. When I say if I use this to open up Safari, for example, it would hide Mail and Slack and all of that stuff. Don't know that for certain because I've never checked it. And I probably wouldn't know if it did it anyway because I couldn't see it. And when I hit Command Tab, boom, there's Mail back. So, hey, doesn't make a difference.
Show files and folders in current Finder window. Uncheck checkbox.
Show files and folders in current Finder window. This, if you check this, if you have an existing file Finder window open, it will just open that result. Going back to the example of browsing the file system and hitting return to open a folder using LaunchBar, it would open it in the window you already have open. I don't have that checked because sometimes I'm looking for a folder so I can move things between them. So I want both of those windows open. This can lead to unintended consequences. Be aware of that. If you use LaunchBar a lot to open up folders in the Finder, this way you're going to end up with a bunch of Finder windows open. So just be aware of that. Make your choice.
Open URLs in current Safari window or tab. Uncheck checkbox.
I don't like messing with this at all. This will determine whether or not it opens up a link or, using the open-end feature that I just mentioned, not the open-end feature, the URL entry feature that I mentioned earlier, whether or not you want it to open in the current tab or window that you have open in Safari. I don't like anything messing with my windows or tabs in Safari because I will lose things. So I don't have that checked.
Prefix email addresses with real name. Checkbox.
Prefix addresses with real names. My perspective of what this does is when I grab an email address or look at an email address, it's going to have Michael Babcock and then the email address versus just the email address. And some people in my contacts have super weird email addresses. So I don't know what their email is. I have to see their name to associate them. So I have that checked.
Preferred file browser. Automatic. Pop-up button.
Preferred file browser. This says automatic. Your options are going to be
Menu. Checkmark. Finder.
Finder, which is the file browser that I use by default.
Pathfinder.
Pathfinder, which I don't have installed.
Pathfinder. Automatic.
And that's it. So if you're a Pathfinder user, it's an application I have never used at all. Not saying anything's wrong with it, just never tried it out. Finder works, pretty reasonably for me most times. So I don't use it. But if you are a Pathfinder user, you can set this to always default to using Pathfinder so that when you open up a folder, it opens it in whatever Pathfinder's interface looks like.
Preferred terminal application.
Preferred terminal application.
Terminal. Pop-up button.
I have been a macOS or OS 10 terminal user. I tried iTerm briefly. Didn't stick for me, so I just stick to the terminal. So that is my default terminal application. I don't think it gives me any other options. Oh, it does give me iTerm, even though it's not installed.
Terminal.
So if I attempted to switch to that, it would probably yell at me and say iTerm is not installed.
Open files of unknown type with Finder. Pop-up button.
Open files of unknown type with Finder. Now you can choose a different application here. I kind of leave that as a default because if I very rarely just tap return on a file in Finder. In LaunchBar. I'm usually sending those files to the application associated with them. So I don't touch this mostly because it doesn't affect my usage.
Create calendar events with LaunchBar. Pop-up button.
Create calendar events with LaunchBar. That is the default.
Menu.
I don't know how that works
Fantastical.
because I use Fantastical. So if I want to create a calendar event, starting that process in LaunchBar, it's going to go to Fantastical.
Create emails with automatic mail. Pop-up button.
Create emails with automatic. It's set to automatic, and it also has mail kind of off in parentheses. You could change this if you're using a different mail app. MindStream shows up here if you are using MindStream. I'm pretty sure any of the other email third-party apps for the Mac also would be available here. I tend to use Mac Mail most of the time.
Play songs. Play from album. Pop-up button.
Play songs. Do you want to play it from the album or whatever? I don't really start my music journey in Apple Music from LaunchBar at all, so I don't change this from the default.
Play from album. Pop-up button.
And most of what you're seeing here is the default settings. I just don't change a lot of them because I haven't. The only thing that I changed was my shortcut and a section that we're about to get to.
Calculator button.
Well, not calculator, but we'll go there next because it's the next in the row.
Out of toolbar.
But when we get to the clipboard section, I've already kind of customized my clipboard history because that is a thing I have to have performing correctly. Now, let's go through the calculator options.
Keyboard shortcut. Checkbox. Clear. Edit text.
It still says clear, but equals is bringing up my keyboard, so I don't know why that's telling you a story. Telling me a story too.
Switch to calculator when typing digits. Checkbox.
Switch to calculator when typing digits. I'm going to uncheck that because sometimes I type digits for different reasons.
Switch to calculator when typing equals. Uncheck. Checkbox. Checked.
That's actually what I've been doing is switch to calculator when typing equals. So you just hit the equals key now. That's why it says clear.
Switch to calculator when pasting a numeric expression. Checkbox.
Switch to calculator when pasting a numeric expression. This I don't ever change because I don't really do that. So it doesn't have a bearing on my usage.
Smart brackets. Checkbox.
Smart brackets. Not sure what that is, but I don't like smart brackets. I don't like anything trying to be smart with punctuation.
Instant calculate. Checkbox.
Instant calculate. So when you type it in, it automatically gives you the answer. So if I type 5 times 5, it is going to automatically show me 25.
Trigonometry mode. Degree. Pop-up button.
Trigonometry mode, I'm not that smart. I'm going to leave that alone.
Degree. Pop-up button.
So that's the end of the calculator settings.
In toolbar. 8 items. Calculator. Selected button. Clipboard button.
Now we're to the clipboard. And I'll spend a little time here with the clipboard because this clipboard manager in LaunchBar has been amazing. Once I started using it, probably 8 or 9 years ago, I have never looked back. I've always had to have it. And trust me, LaunchBar, my computer will feel broken if I don't have LaunchBar installed in general. But if I don't have my clipboard history configured the right way, and this is the only thing that I have actually gone in and spent time to configure with this latest install, is the clipboard history. Because if I don't have that working right, it is sort of like my keyboard is broken.
Enable clipboard history. Checkbox.
So first you have to enable clipboard history. I don't remember if it's enabled by default, but check that box if you want to use it. Now, if you don't want to use it and don't want it ever showing up, getting in your way, doing anything like that, uncheck it.
Capacity. 40 items. Pop-up button.
I have my capacity set to 40 items. There are some options. You can have it go back a number of days. I tend to cap it at some items. I used to have it at 100. But that got very, very unwieldy because I would end up with stuff and not even know what it was for. So 40 seems to be reasonable. I don't really ever hit 40 because I tend to clear it out, once I'm done with stuff and I know I don't need it. But 40 seems to be a good base for me personally because it ensures that I don't lose anything that I've been copying today while working or probably dropped anything from yesterday either.
Clear history button.
Clear history, and then hitting that would just clear out my history. I don't want to do that.
Action.
So this action option here, mine is set to paste. This determines what happens when you're in the clipboard history view and you hit return on a clipboard item. For me, I just wanted to paste, but I will take you through what the other options are.
Copy and paste. Copy.
All right, so you have copy, which would then place it on your actual. That gets a little meta, huh? Okay, so let's say you have clipboard history. You've copied 4 things. You copied an email address from an email. You copied a tracking number from a website. You copied a file in Finder. And then you did VO-Shift-C to copy your last spoken thing that was said while you were in Chrome. Okay, so now you have 4 things in your clipboard history. Well, the most recent thing as far as macOS concerned, what is actually on your macOS clipboard would be the text that you VO-Shift-C to copy that last spoken text out of Chrome, right? But let's say you want to paste the file somewhere in Finder. Well, in your clipboard history, what do you want to happen when you press return? If you press return and you have it set to copy, then it's going to move that file to your macOS clipboard history, which means pressing Command V anywhere will paste that file. So that's how that works.
Copy and paste.
Copy and paste. It will copy it, putting it on your macOS clipboard, and then automatically paste it for you. That seems a little redundant, and I don't quite understand why you would want to configure that way. But if it makes sense to you, choose that option.
Checkmark. Paste.
I have mine simply set to paste, which means 2 things. Number 1, I highlight the thing in my clipboard history that I want to paste, and I hit return and paste it right where I happen to be at all. Before I open LaunchBar. In the copy and paste, it starts rearranging your clipboard history, which I also find very annoying. Piece of text and I hit so that is the other reason that I have mine set to paste only.
Checkmark. Paste.
And those are the options that you have there. I have mine set to paste, as I said, because 1, it allows me to be specific about what I want to paste, and it doesn't rearrange my clipboard history up under me. Because sometimes I copy things in very specific order, so I can very specifically go back and paste them in a specific order.
As plain text, uncheck checkbox.
This checkbox will paste anything that is text as plain text, stripping off any formatting, etc. I don't have that checked because sometimes I wanted to keep the formatting. I'm just moving stuff around in a document.
Ignore applications. Uncheck checkbox.
Ignore applications. Now, I'm going to spend a little time configuring this very quickly.
Checked.
First, you want to check that option because there are some applications that you want to ignore because you don't want the contents that you've copied from them to be stored in your clipboard history.
Edit button. In dialog table.
I'm going to edit.
Keychain access. Selected. Ignore applications.
All right. So keychain access is already in here by default. Again, you have to check the option. I'm not sure why that's not the default, but okay.
Add button.
And I'm going to add an application.
Keychain access. Add button. In dialog, open list view table.
So
1 password application. 362 point table.
1 password.
Ignore applications. Add button.
And I'm going to add 1 more.
In dialog, open list view table. Audio hijack application. 62
Audio hijack. All right.
Remove button.
So I've added those applications. I'm going to hit done. So now I am having the clipboard history feature in LaunchBar completely ignore the following applications. Keychain, the Keychain app in macOS is there by default. I've added 1 password, so when I copy anything out of 1 password, it doesn't hold on to it in the clipboard history. And I've added audio hijack because when you copy a block, I don't need that block hanging around in clipboard history because it's not going to be useful to me anywhere other than audio hijack. And I don't queue up a bunch of, maybe I should try that though. Queue up a bunch of blocks and then go paste them all over the place.
Preserve history across restart. Checkbox.
Preserve history across restart. This is very important. Check this box if you at all begin to rely on this feature. Because if you don't, then when you restart, your clipboard history will be gone. Also, just as a side note, if you have to force shut down your Mac, like hold down the power button to make it shut down and then turn it back on, you're also going to lose your clipboard history.
Edit. Preserve history across restart. Checkbox.
But if you check this box, at least when you do a nice shutdown where it goes through all of the proper shutdown procedures, you won't lose that clipboard history.
Enable clip merge. Checkbox.
Clip merge is a cool feature. This allows you to copy multiple things and put them together on your clipboard. A quick example of how this works, this does require accessibility access, by the way. But a quick example of how this works is, let's say you're trying to copy a bunch of different files in Finder, but they're not all lined up right there together, right? So you need to, copy this file here, navigate around a bit, copy that file. Well, you can have all of those separate files in your clipboard history, stacked on top of each other, or using clip merge, you copy the first file. When you locate the next file you want to copy, hit Command C quickly. We'll hold down Command and tap C twice, and that will add that second file to the clipboard item with the first file. So when you get ready to paste, you can paste all 5 files you were trying to move at once. Very nice feature.
Press Command C twice to merge the copy data with the current clipboard contents. Keyboard shortcuts. Show clipboard history. Checkbox.
All right. And then now we get into the keyboard shortcuts. You can set these as appropriate. I'll just make sure I explain what each one is for.
Show clipboard history. Checkbox.
Show clipboard history.
Control Command / edit text.
Now I have mine set to Control Command / because that's just how I have it.
Select from history. Checkbox.
Select from history.
Control / edit text. Paste and remove from history. Checkbox.
Paste and remove from history.
Control Option Command V. Edit text.
I have that set as Control Option. Wait, what is that?
Paste and Control Option Command V. Edit text.
That's not what it should be.
Option of Word. Control Option Command V. Content selected. Edit text. Paste and remove from
Okay, so I have changed that to what I normally have it set to. It explains why it wasn't working either. I have changed mine to Command Option Shift V, and that will paste whatever is on the clipboard history and also remove it. So I do that
Option Shift Command V. Edit text.
enough because I only needed that thing temporarily, so I don't need it hanging around in history. So that's the end of our clipboard section.
Toolbar. In Toolbar. Update button.
Updates, those are pretty obvious. You select how often you wanted to check for updates, or you wanted to check automatically, etc. Blah, blah.
Advanced button.
Advanced.
Advanced button. Advanced
I don't
select.
think I've ever been in the advanced section. Let's see what we're going to discover today.
Drag and drop onto folder. Ask for file operation. Selected radio button. 1 of 2.
All right, so there is drag and drop onto folder. And while I don't actually use the mouse to drag, I will tell you the effect that this has for me as a VoiceOver user. And that is using the drop on feature. So I can highlight a file in Finder, hit Command Space, navigate to a different folder where I would like to move that file, and hit Command D. The following options here are going to determine what does LaunchBar actually do when I perform that action. Or if you are a mouse user and you grab a file from somewhere and drag it onto LaunchBar, a folder that is displayed in LaunchBar, what actions are going to be taken.
Ask for file operation. Selected radio button. 1
Now
of
I
2.
have mine set to ask for file operation because sometimes I want to move a thing, but sometimes I just need to copy a thing. So it's not always the same. So ask me and I'll pick copy or move.
Move or copy to folder. Radio button. 2 of 2.
You have move or copy the folder.
Working with files. Immediate home folder and copy file paths with tilde sign tilde. Uncheck checkbox.
Now, this is an option that really has never had any effect on me, but essentially when you copy a file path, because there's an action in LaunchBar to copy a file path, do you want to abbreviate your home folder with tilde/, or do you want it to actually type out the entire /user/ your home directory, your account username / etc., blah, blah, blah.
Checked.
I'm actually going to check that.
Convert file name extension to lowercase when renaming a file. Uncheck checkbox.
Convert file name extension to lowercase. I've never checked that option. I don't really change file extensions. When I do, I'm very intentional about it.
Append English file name is different from localized name. Uncheck checkbox.
That has something to do with localization. My English isn't that great, so I really don't deal with a lot of file names or any file names in different languages, so I don't know how that function behaves. However, it's there, and if you understand it, check it if it makes sense for you, or leave it unchecked as I do.
Icon. Show the icon. Checkbox.
Now, here's the thing that has been kind of driving me crazy because I've been waiting to change this setting until I recorded this.
Dock icon.
Dock icon. We're going to review this. Dock icon. Yes, LaunchBar has a dock icon at the moment. It's driving me mad.
Show the icon. Checkbox.
Show dock icon. You can uncheck this.
In dialog. Using LaunchBar without icon. Using LaunchBar without icon.
And you get this message.
Using LaunchBar without
And this is
icon.
the reason I waited until I recorded this so I could actually go through this message with you.
Text. In order to run LaunchBar without icon, the app must quit and launch again as a background application. However, background applications are not considered to have a user interface or to become active. Thus, be aware of the following shortcomings. Bullet. You can no longer use LaunchBar without icon as a dragging destination for dragging files or text to LaunchBar. Bullet. Background applications do not have their own menu bar. You will find the menu commands in the LaunchBar menu, though. Bullet. Background applications do not appear in Apple's Command Tab app switcher. Bullet. Due to the missing menu bar, the hide others command option Command H will not work while LaunchBar is active. In macOS, there must be at least one foreground application that provides a menu bar. But if a background application, which has no menu bar, hides all other applications, no menu bar would be left. Therefore, macOS simply refuses to perform the hide others command when the background application is active. Bullet. Background applications do not appear in the force quit window. Instead, you have to use Activity Monitor in case you need to force quit LaunchBar. Cancel button. Restart now. Default button.
Now, I will briefly explain what all of that gibberish was in case it was a little too fast. Essentially, when you don't have a dock icon for an application, there are many applications, most menu bar apps that are just menu bar apps are also similar to this case. They don't have a dock icon. When there's no dock icon, number one, you can't drag things to the dock icon because it's not there. Number two, it no longer shows up in the command tab switcher, which is what I want, right? It's been driving me crazy when I'm command tabbing around and LaunchBar shows up. But again, I had to hold off until I recorded this. This was supposed to be motivation for me to get this recorded so that I could actually change this setting. A few other things of note. The force quit window, LaunchBar will not show up there. You will have to go to Activity Monitor to force quit LaunchBar. Or if you know how to use the terminal, you can just go kill it that way also, if necessary. And there's a couple other things about how it behaves. If you use hide all, you can't do it with an app that's in focus that doesn't have a menu bar, etc. So essentially, though, you'll see how this operates.
Restart now. Default button.
I'm going to restart.
Understanding supplier diversity. File vertical line. Demasi folder contains 14 items.
Now it is relaunched and opened again. I'm going to hit Command, comma, to get back to preferences. And we're back in the advanced preferences. Okay. Now, note, as I navigate through here, you can recheck that and put it back in the mode where it has a dock icon. If you discover for your use case that not having that dock icon has some sort of negative effect on you, whether it's you like it in the command tab switcher, or you actually drag files and folders and things to the dock icon, or some other negative effect on your usage, feel free to check that. Me personally, I don't have it checked, and I love not having it checked.
Preferred input source.
Preferred input source. I don't change that. It's just a default system input.
The preferred input source will be used in favor of the currently active input source while LaunchBar is active. This list contains only those input sources that are enabled in system preferences greater than keyword greater than input sources and that are suitable for entering Roman characters.
And you get an explanation. It's basically what you want to use for input, whatever the default happens to be. So whatever I'm using in the system, that's what it's going to use.
The preferred input source will be used in favor.
And that is it. Those are the LaunchBar settings. I am going to do some more content showing you some different things in LaunchBar, but those are how my settings are configured in a brief explanation of them. Hopefully this has been helpful and also gives you an understanding of, how you may want to configure LaunchBar to be optimal for you. Feel free to try out anything as your installation of LaunchBar doesn't have an effect on my LaunchBar. So if you like something that I suggested, do you check or uncheck? Do that. And if it turns out it doesn't work for you, well, revert. You always have that option. Nothing here is set in stone. The preferences are always available to you. Even if you hide the dock icon, just bring up LaunchBar, invoke it, however you choose to do so, and then hit Command, comma, and there are your preferences, because it's a decent Mac app, so it uses, expected Mac behaviors. Like Command W
Safari
will close the window, and now also LaunchBar has gone away. And I'm going to Command tab very quickly.
Finder, Drafts, 1Password, Google Chrome, Setup, TextMate, Terminal, Messages, Slack, Tune, Preview, Safari, Audio Hijack, Mail.
There's a lot of apps open.
Mail, Inbox.
But now I can just hit Command space though.
Application.
And type AH.
Audio Hijack, Application. Audio Hijack, Input.
And then I'm going to stop this recording. Thank you for checking us out.
Hey, look, that turned out pretty good. If you are with me still, I'm going to wrap things up and let you know you can follow me on Mastodon, Payon, P-A-Y-O-W-N, at dragonscave.space. Demasi's on Mastodon, Demasi, D-A-M-A-S-H-E, at technically.social. And you can follow the bot, TW, at technically.social. And I think what I'll do is over the next couple of days, publish some links to some older content, because there's a lot of good stuff here when I'm going through and looking for some clips to throw in there. So follow the bot for some random episodes from the past. And if you are a TipJar subscriber, check out your TipJar feed in the next couple of days for that content. And if you're not, check out technicallyworking.show for more information. Have a great week, and we should be back doing a live stream on Saturday. TipJar subscribers, keep an ear out on your email.